are all the counseling sessions, and Madam will be here with you. Madam also the program coordinator and taking the counseling session direct to you, as Aarti has no approved academic counselor so far. Hence, I hope that you will enjoy the session and try to understand what Madam speaking and clarify your doubts with Madam only. And I wish you all the best. Thank you, ma'am. You may continue your session, ma'am, Richa, Madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, madam. And so I will start the session. I would like to first screen share my window. So can I do that?
Yes, madam, you can share from your side.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. You can go to this present. Yes.
Yeah, so I hope the screen is visible to all of you, is it? Or
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Visible. You are still
okay,
screening? Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
okay, great. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, all the learners. Radha ma'am, thank you for organizing this counseling schedule. So I'll start this session by saying this to all my learners that as you all know that IGNOU is a distance learning university. So we don't have face-to-face classes. So the only way in fact that we actually communicate with our students, with our learners is through our online counseling, with Gyan Darshan, with IRCs. So in future, we are going to have a lot of sessions on Gyan Darshan as well. We'll be sharing it on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Please follow the SOCE, IGNU, all the social media pages. And since there is no face-to-face class, this is how we do the counseling. So counseling, please remember that counseling is not about face-to-face teaching. So it's not that every line and every single sentence will be spoon-fed to you. I have opened here the SLM here. You can see, I'll just zoom it out so you can see it properly. I think many of you have already received both the courses, hard copies of the blogs. Some of you are still left. You will get it as soon as possible. Everything has been delivered, dispatched from IGNU actually. So this is the how your SLM looks like. This is BHC 005, the first course of the program. You'll have the credit pages in the beginning. And then yahan se it starts your, see, if anyone is there who is not comfortable, 100% comfortable with English, please let me know. I don't mind going bilingual also. So learners, please do let me know in case if there is any doubt regarding the SLM, any doubt regarding any unit, anything regarding academics, please do let me know. Ask. So and we can take up the questions later also. So this is how your first block look like. Okay, BHC 005, and the first block has 3 units. So over the view of apparel industry part 1 and 2, and the third unit is organizational setup. So the course itself is about apparel merchandising. So when we talk about apparel merchandising, what do you understand? Apparel, what is apparel? Apparel is actually synonymous to cloth that we wear. So there are lots of terms when we talk about textiles. There's fiber, yarn, fabric, textile, apparel, clothing, attire, lots of synonymous words. So when you actually study this course, when you will learn the SLM, then you will get to know what is the difference. So basically, before I start the first unit, I'll just give you an overview of these terms. The smallest unit that comes, when we talk about textile is your fiber, जो एक धागा होता है, एक पतला सा. When we twist and turn fibers, maybe into S or Z twist, which you will learn later in the units, further units, it becomes a yarn. When you weave or knit a yarn, maybe a set of yarns, you get fabric. So fabric is something जो एक थान का कपड़ा होता है, and it can be hundreds and thousands of meters. And then you cut it and you make it into garment. That garment is either your apparel, you call it garment, you call it clothing, you can call it, synonymously, all these 3 terms are used. Now, textile, these are the terms that is related to from making of the garment. Now, textile is something that is overall. When we use the word textile, I am wearing a textile. Do I ever say that? I will never say that I'm wearing a textile, because textile is a very general term that is given to all these small terminologies. So I am wearing a cloth right now. Probably I'm wearing an apparel, or my kurta is made up of cotton fibers. So these are the generic terms that you'll learn in this, course. So that's about apparel. What is merchandising? Merchandising is something. Merchandise का literal meaning होता है a product, a commodity. So any product, ठीक है, the process of making that product, production of that product, and then delivering it to the market or to the public, that is called merchandising. So right from the beginning of starting of making a product till the end, that is your quality check, production ho gaya, you do quality check, packaging, making it available in the market, and then delivering it, actually selling it to the customers. The whole process is called merchandising, and the person who does this is called a merchandiser. So as we had discussed it in the induction also, that there are lots of job prospects. There are lots of job prospects when you finish this course, and one of the most common one is being an apparel merchandiser. So the person who takes care of taking the order from an export company, or in fact the local market also, any what to say, buyer, we call them buyer, the one who is giving the order. So the process of taking the order and then delivering it to that buyer, that responsibility is done by the apparel merchandiser. Now there are different types of merchandisers. There's not only apparel, there are apparel merchandiser, there are visual merchandisers, there are product merchandisers, accessory merchandiser, lots of different varieties are there. So this is about your apparel merchandising. Now the first unit is overview of apparel industry. So the name itself suggests that you will learn about the apparel industry, how apparel industry has, what is apparel industry first of all, that industry or that factory, in simple words, which makes an apparel, which makes the clothing. But वो process पूरा बनाने का, it's huge, it's very lengthy. So what is an apparel industry, how it has grown in India, what is the supply chain? So you get the fiber from maybe farmers, or the synthetic fibers from industries, and then you further give it to the industries for production. So the whole supply chain, how does that work step by step? And then there are lots of segmentations in Indian apparel market. So the introduction, you can just have a look. Textile industry, it is divided into organized and unorganized sector. It is also called organized is your mill sector, where spinning and composite mills are available, and then unorganized sector, under that you'll have powerloom, handloom, and hosiery. Then just an brief introduction about the history, the ready to wear apparel, how it has kind of come up over the time from World War II, World War One, and then lots of other changes that has happened in India. How has it grown over the time? And then the apparel supply chain. So as I said, there are lots of India, the biggest what to say, earning community of India is actually agriculture. So the fibers, they come, the natural fibers, they come from the farmers, the synthetic ones, they come from industries. So how is it further manufactured into yarn or fabric or textile, and then it is enhanced. So you get basically a plain fabric from the industry, but then you need some kind of print on that, some kind of probably dyeing and printing done on it to increase its aesthetic appeal. So that's another supply chain, part of the supply chain process. So how does it work in India, in the Indian apparel industry? You'll read here. Segmentation, as I said, that it's basically divided into major three segments. That is your men's wear, women's wear, and kids wear. So if you see the graph here, the highest segmentation goes to men's wear, that is 41%. Women's wear is at the second number, and kids wear is the least. But this is data is from April 2021, because just a second, आप उधर से कर दीजिए, मेरा मीटिंग चल रहा है. ठीक है. So this data is from April 2021, but we are already in 2023. It's going to end, in fact, in another 3 months. So this data might have changed slightly, but the division of the segment is still the same. So the highest is menswear and the lowest is kidswear. Again, the division is done into many various, classifications. It is done by use, by price. So we have low end market, mid range market, and high end market. Menswear, women's wear. There are lots of brands and industries which actually work specifically into these brands. So when you talk about maybe Raymond, you always think of suiting materials. So it goes to, it kind of the most percentage falls into menswear. When you talk about Forever New or Zara or H&M brands like that, you think of women's wear because these things fall into women's category. And then there is Gap Kids Aya hai recently, not recently, maybe 5-6 years back. Then you have many other brands or in pantaloons or lots of kids brand that actually goes to kids wear. So that way there is the third division that falls according to the type of the garment, the use, and then the brands that are there that work actually. So if you can see for kids, I wasn't remembering, but then there is Mani, Bamboo, lots of brands. And then recently they have the foreign, those couture brands that they call. They have come up with baby and kids clothing. So Dior is there, Burberry, Zara I had mentioned earlier, I guess. So all these things. So this is about the first part of apparel industry that you will study in the first unit. The second unit, of course, it's almost similar, but then in the first unit, we talk about the apparel industry internally. Here, you will learn more about the export markets. So, what happened in India? How has it grown? What is the history that you have done in the first unit already? Second unit, how has it grown globally? So, after globalization, I mean, maybe 20 or 30 decades back, when lots of treaties came, so that's when globalization happened. Pehle kya hota tha, much before I'm talking about, there used to be barter system. You give a product and you take a product. Now, with time and with the currency coming, with the whole economically, developed countries and all, you have lots of financial things that has come up. So globalization has contributed a lot in the export market, I would say. But one of the major things for exporting certain thing is how much we are getting back in return. So export ऐसे ही नहीं होता है कि आप कोई भी एक fix कर दो. Of course, the barter system is not there. Product के बदले में product नहीं मिलता है maybe, but you do get if you are, for example, India is the largest exporter of basmati rice or Assam or Darjeeling tea or silk fibers after China, of course, but then China is more into synthetic silk rather than natural. India is still the highest exporter of silk. So that way when you export something you get something in return. So after globalization, because everything is available everywhere now, so there's a tough competition, and that's how the whole export industry has changed its course. So that's what you will learn, which are the major export players. You have Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia. So basically if you see all the Asian countries that are there, they are more into apparel market. Now, I'm really not sure how many students are there, but can anyone tell me? I know this is not face-to-face class, but can anyone tell me why is it? What is the reason why Asian countries are more into export market or into apparel industry?
Because of yarn availability.
Because of yarn availability. Okay, so one more reason that is probably more important than that. Cheap labor, yes, Roshni, perfect answer. I didn't see who answered earlier to this. Yarn availability is also right, but the main reason for this is cheap labor, because we all are developing countries. Please remember that. So we have huge labor, human labor that is available. So I mean it's not a proud thing to say basically, but India is actually going to cross the population bar from China also maybe in another few years. So cheap labor is one of the most important things why all the export markets, especially related to apparel, is actually concentrated in the Asian countries. You take Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Indonesia, China, all these are the major producers of apparel and textiles in the whole world. And after China and Bangladesh, actually India is on the third number when you talk about export market. China and Bangladesh, China, the reason for China is because they are, of course, populated more than India. The reason for Bangladesh is because there is poverty. So if you have ever seen, I'm really not sure how many of you have ever kind of read news about apparel industry, but few years back there was a incident that happened in Bangladesh, and a huge industry had collapsed, and hundreds of people, women especially, and kids had died there. So there was a case study related to this. I will share the link with you all in the WhatsApp group. Please go through it, it's very interesting. So when asked from those women, the survivors, how much money were they getting, so per hour, hourly, they were getting 5 to 12 rupees hourly. So can you imagine, they were not even making 100 rupees a day, and probably they're working 12 to 15 hours a day, and there were small newborn kids with them sitting in the industry, lying on the floor because they couldn't kind of leave them at home. So that is the reason Bangladesh is one of the top producers of apparel and textiles, because there is huge poverty there. So all these things, this is just an example case study that I have shared here, but you will study, learn about how India has grown globally, and how it has reached that third position in the whole global market. And then the merchandising in the apparel industry, I've already said what is who is a merchandiser. So this is a very nice definition here. If you see on the screen, a merchandiser is the interface between buyer and exporter. So right from the buyer, the person who gives the order, and you kind of take the raw materials, till you kind of complete the product, make that product, the whole production is done, and you send it back to the buyer or the exporter. So the whole interface is carried out by the merchandiser, and there are huge responsibilities of a merchandiser. That person does internal external communication, sampling, buying things of like accessories, trims, textiles, fibers, fabrics, everything what is required, whatever is required for that particular product, purchasing order banana, all these things, inspections, quality checks, lots of things. And then you can just go through this data. It's not very important, but top exporters of clothing. So China, European Union है, ये पहले था, अब ये नीचे चला गया है. Bangladesh, Vietnam, and then India was on the fifth one. Right now it's on the third position. This data is according to 2018. That's why I'm giving you the recent data with where India is on the third number. Now, current perspective of Indian apparel industry, what is it globally over the years, how it has moved on. So this is about your second unit, and the third unit is your organizational setup of a garment manufacturing unit. So we are talking about making apparel, making clothing. So where does it happen? Garments kahan bante hain? Hum jo clothing, I mean, not even a single hour probably passes by a human being's life that we don't wear clothes. We wear it on a daily basis or early secondary basis basically. So kahan bante hain ye kapde? So it is done with the place where it's done. It is either called garment manufacturing unit. We also call it GMU, or maybe you simply in layman's language you call it apparel industries, or you can call it clothing industries or factories, things like that. So you will see what is the introduction, then the organizational structure. Now this is something that is important. Probably you can just mark it down. The organizational sector, departments, and the workflow. So structure और ये तीन चीजें काफी important है इस unit की. Please read it properly. Organizational structure is something that you see here in this flow chart. So basically the how the industry is divided, okay, like you all must be working in some probably in some office, or we are working here in IGNU. So we have VC, we have PVC, we have directors, we have and then the academic staff, professor, associate professor. So there is a hierarchy. So the same hierarchy is everywhere, whether in school, college, university, you are at a workplace, you are in corporate sector, anywhere. So when we talk about the apparel industry, the garment manufacturing industry, the major position goes to the CEO or the managing director, MD of that industry. Now there are three people under that, three directors. One takes care of the finance, which includes accounts and export documents. The other one takes care of operations, and the last one is marketing. So marketing again sales and promotion से related है, चाहे वो export का हो या internal local हो domestic हो. The most important kind of role that goes is to the director of operations. Now here there are lots of sections. You can just go through it on your own. There's planning, how to make the product, merchandising. Again, the whole interface process is involved. Production, cutting of the fabric, sewing karna, finishing karna, sampling karna. Then the quality control. Now you have made a garment. अब मैंने बोला था कि मुझे jet black चाहिए. I required the fabric of jet black color. You made it into some random black color. So I'm not going to accept that order. And then thousands of pieces will go waste, and then there will be a loss to the industry. So the quality control, in fact, that is done actually before only during sampling. But the main kind of role or task of the quality manager is to check all these things, inspection basically. Then there's a manager for purchase also, of purchasing all the raw materials, or maybe at the end also, and then the administration who takes care of the logistics, the shipping part. So this is very important. And if ever this question is asked in the exam, you just can't draw this flow chart. You have to explain everything, and the flow chart is also very important to draw in the answer. Now, the third part is your departments in a garment or apparel manufacturing unit. As I just showed in the flowchart, there are lots of department planning, jahan pe ki whole approval and things happen. Ki how we are going about making this product. Purchasing of the raw materials, the trims that are required. एक bill of material बनता है जिसमें कि सारे all the prices are written. Then what is the minimum order quantity that you need for maybe for zips or for buttons or for that particular fabric? That is called MOQ, minimum order quantity. And then a purchase order is made. That is called PO. Purchase order is something that you just can't take an order and go to the market and buy the fabric. There has to be an approval. So that purchase order shows how much quantity you are going to buy. And if there is an order for 1,000 products, and you know that these 1,000 kurtas ko banane ke liye I'll be needing maybe 5,000 meters of fabric, you always go for that 5 to 10% of buffer fabric, just in case koi if there is a defect or problem or the order is rejected, some pieces are rejected, there should be always that buffer thing. So all these things are included in the purchase order. The next part is your fabric sourcing. Fabric sourcing is something that you go to the merchandiser basically, or the fabric sourcer goes to the market and looks for different types of fabrics. Now I need a silk, so it's like any other thing. You people go to the market to buy maybe vegetable, ठीक है, आलू खरीदने जा रहे हो, so you just don't go to maybe probably one shop and just buy it. You will look for maybe 2-3 shops. You will analyze the rate. Maybe one is selling for 20, 22, 25. So you'll see which one has a better quality and which one is cheaper, and then you'll go for that one. So the same thing happens here. It's a bad comparison, आलू and fabric sourcing ka, but just for understanding I said this. So fabric sourcing is something that you just go to the market, look out for various types of fabrics, and decide I need a silk fabric. So there are 10 shopkeepers who are giving me at maybe 7 or 8 different rates. Now I have to see which has the best quality and where I'm getting the cheapest option, also which is perfectly matching to the order that I have received. I have to do my homework of cost and quality and everything, but the most important thing is the requirement that has come from the exporter. So that is something you have to kind of balance. The fabric sourcer has to balance all these things and then go for the selection of the fabric or material or whatever it is. So this is the process that shows that whatever I have explained right now. There are accessory stores. You can buy trims and buttons, things like that, zippers, needles, all those things. Merchandising, again, merchandising is something that is everywhere, whether it's sourcing, whether it's production, whether it's planning, whether it's cutting. Merchandising is involved everywhere, and that's why the whole course is about merchandising. So these are again the various qualities that you need, that one needs for the merchandiser in sourcing section. Then sampling matlab kya hota hai ki we are making a sample, we are making a prototype. So I have got an order for 10,000 pieces of maybe a top, and I just take the look out for all the details and make the order and give it to the exporter. Now the exporter doesn't like it. मैं अगर एक्सपोर्टर हूँ, मैंने बोला आई डोंट लाइक, दिस इज नॉट अकॉर्डिंग टू माई what I had suggested, and I'm just rejecting the whole thing. So that will create a problem. So what happens is maybe 10 or 15 or 20 pieces का sample बनता है, and that sample is sent to the exporter, to the buyer for approval कि this is how we are going to make your product. It might be a garment, it might be an accessory, it might be apparel, anything, footwear, anything. So that sample, that proto sample is sent to the exporter. The approval has to come in written from the exporter, and then it's further production is done, bulk produced. So that is called your sampling. Then you have the production floor, you have cutting room where the fabrics are cut, you have lots of different types of knives, you have manual knives. This is a manual knife. Again, here they are computerized knife where you just put the what to say, cutting the marker. It's called a marker, paper marker. So there's a top, so I have to make the paper cutouts of the different parts of the garment, and we just put it on top of the fabric, and automatic wo computer mein feed kar dete hain, and it just cuts the whole fabric. So we have different types of fabric cutting machines. Marker, as I just said, marker making is there, fabric spreading hota hai, then cutting hoga, and then those pieces are sorted and bundled. So the the bodice will be bundled into one bulk, the sleeves will go into another one, the collars will go into another one, the cuffs will go separately, the leg part will go separately. So all of them are bundled and sorted together. And then the sewing happens, that is उसके बाद stitching होता है और उसको पूरे garment को assemble किया जाता है, मतलब अलग अलग parts को लेके एक single garment बनाया जाता है. Then the production department, where the whole thing is done now. Now production department actually takes care of the the style, the trims, the accessories that are there. Now the exporter has said that I need maybe 10 buttons on this shirt, so the production department will actually take care how those buttons have to be placed. So that's a production department. Quality check karna hota hai, the quality inspector or the quality checker will see if there are no loose threads or the buttons are properly, there is nothing broken, or even if the stitch agar ब्रेक हो गया या एक स्टिच के जगह दो स्टिच आ गई है, वो भी प्रोडक्ट रिजेक्ट हो जाता है. तो ये सारी चीजें, ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर डन इन क्वालिटी कंट्रोल. And then your finishing department, one of the last departments actually, where it is if there are any extra threads, they are cut. If any particular product is too much, they have to be rejected. Staining defects diya jata hai. If the product is dyed, they have to see if there are no stains or dyeing defects that are there. All these defects are checked in the finishing department. So you have thread cutting, initial check, measuring, final checking, pressing, tagging. Even the tags are put here. Folding and packing, cartooning. They are, after folding and packing, they are put into the cartoon. Final inspection, and then the shipment is done. And you will see an arrow going back here, circle. Now after final checking, if it needs any repair or alteration, it goes to the it will be sent back. Again, it will be repaired, and then it will come to the initial checking. And also it happens that many a times the fabric is, or maybe the product is being rejected. So that goes into the surplus part of the industry. Then the shipping and logistics, where it has to be sent, all the paper documentation part, how long will it reach there? If it's an export thing, you have to see the taxes, you have to see the export charges, you have to see the shipping charges. All these things are involved, which comes under your shipping and logistics. And then the workflow of an export order. So everything that actually I have explained in this unit is summarized here. So this is the order workflow of a garment manufacturing unit. I'll just zoom in, zoom out a little. So you see buyer inquiry, sampling hota hai, initial costing, order confirmation, and this whole thing is about your production. And then the washing, finishing, final inspection, and then shipment. So this is about your organizational setup. So organizational setup मतलब कोई भी product है, कोई भी since we are talking about apparel industry or apparel merchandising, I'm only talking about apparel, but the same process goes about for any product basically in any industry. It might be here and there less, maybe 5% less or more. There might be few changes, but otherwise it's almost the same. Now, going more specific into the apparel industry, the second block will talk about there are 4 units here. It will talk about apparel retail industry in India. So the retailing part, how is it sold into the market? The e-commerce, this is very interesting. How, I mean, I think every one of us buy things online. Matlab, my most of my ration comes online from Big Basket or Pantry. So this is another part. But even if I want to buy some clothing, maybe probably I go to Myntra or some other site, and then I do. So each and every one of us buy online, and that's your e-commerce part. We'll talk about the e-commerce industry, how it has grown. Then introduction to the global apparel market. We have already done it in the introduction part in the first block, but slightly more into the details. And the concept of foreign direct investment, the FDI. Now, coming to the first unit of second block, that is fourth unit, apparel retail industry. So retailing, what is retailing? Retailing, when we talk about retailing, retail is something that is about selling the product. So we say retail market. What is retail market? Market, we all have that market जहाँ पे कि हम जाके कोई भी commodity या कोई भी product खरीदते हैं. Since we are talking about apparel or clothing, we are focusing only on that. So apparel market में जाके retail में, that is single pieces खरीदना. When we use the word retail, it talks about single pieces. When we want to buy something in bulk, we use the word wholesale. So that's the difference between retailing and wholesaling market. Now we are talking about the retailing industry. The first line itself here says retailing is one of the largest industries in India and one of the biggest sources of employment in the country. So over the time, now I had earlier told you about globalization. So globalization ka one of the major factors why apparel industry has grown so much in India is because of globalization. Because many export industries are coming to our country, and the reason, because we have cheap labor, we have but so much of population is there that there are 5 people and you offer 10 rupees to someone, and the other one says I'll do the same work for maybe 5 rupees, and you offer the work to that person. So the industry is also happy. See, all these we all wear sports shoes of Nike, Reebok, all the export industries I'm talking about. What else are there? Adidas, maybe. If I'm forgetting something else, please do remind me. Or you take clothing industries like Zara, H&M. They all have their export industries, like the manufacturing industry in India, actually, and Bangladesh, of course. What? Why? Because they send the whole product via shipping, via sea route to India in big containers, the raw materials, the accessories. Even if they want a small glitter, also they will send the exact shade of that glitter to these countries. And the whole manufacturing is done by us, basically, us being Indians, or maybe Bangladeshis, or maybe China or Indonesians. And the when the product is done, when it's made, it's again shipped back via sea route to those European countries, and then they sell it for thousands of dollars or maybe rupees. And imagine it comes back to India and we buy the same shoe for maybe 4,000 or 5,000 rupees. So this is actually the example of globalization, and why India has actually gone too much deep into the whole export market. So this is another case study actually that I have just shared with you, but you can go through this part. And retail and apparel, they are of course directly related. Who is a retailer? A retailer is a key player in the marketing process, as he regularly interacts with the end consumer. Retailer complies street vendors, local kirana stores, shopkeepers, supermarkets, anyone. So basically, the person who sells the product to the end consumer, that person is a retailer. So the producer, the apparel industry is the producer. जब बन जाता है, when the product is ready, it's sent into the market to the wholesaler. So wholesaler will give the retailer maybe 1,000 pieces or maybe 100 pieces or 500 pieces. Now, when we as end consumer or end customer, when we go to buy a product, we generally buy 1 or 2 products, not more than 2 products of the same style or the same kind. So we are the end consumer, and since we can't go to the wholesaler because we don't want maybe minimum dozen pieces or maybe 12 pieces or 30 pieces or 50 pieces, so we go to retailer. Now the retailer sells that product to us. So what happens here is the producer may produce a product for 10 rupees. When the producer sells it to wholesaler, there will be a profit margin. maybe he will sell the wholesaler the same product for 20 rupees. Now, when the wholesaler will sell it to the retailer, again there will be a profit margin for the wholesaler. So he will sell it for maybe 50 rupees. And then the retailer will take his own profit and then sell it to us, being the consumers, end customers. And we will get it for maybe 500. So imagine the product, the producer, the product that is actually manufactured at a cost of 10 rupees comes to us at a cost of 500 rupees. You must have heard about these water bottles that we buy from market. So the actual cost of making 1 liter of water bottle, whether it's Kinley or Aquafina or Bailey or whatever it is actually 1 rupee 25 paise, and we get it for 20 rupees minimum. And there are many brands actually which sell it. You go to CCD, you'll get the same 500 ml of bottle for 60 rupees. So this is the whole process of how a product is produced, and with the supply chain, this is supply chain actually. So with the selling of this product and coming it into the market and then reaching it to the end customer, the whole price increases, and it increases to another level. I mean, imagine soaring prices of 500% or maybe 1000%. So that's how the whole globalization happens, and that's how basically the export industry is developing so much in India as well. Now, talk about the apparel. Apparel is defined as a clothing, but the retail industry, apparel industry, is not only consists of clothing; it also includes accessories and footwear. So, as I said, it can be anything. Organized and unorganized retailing market. So basically, they are organized sectors, which is almost 75%. That is your traditional retailing. Then there is organized retail, which is 18%, and then the e-retailing, which we'll talk in e-commerce, that is your 7%. But again, this data is according to 2021, maybe 2023. After 2.5 years, it might have changed. I'm pretty sure about it. The e-commerce must have increased, and also the traditional retailing is going down actually. How many of us actually go to, I mean, you ask our parents and they'll say, no, I want to feel the fabric, I want to touch the fabric, then only I'm going to buy. I'm giving you this example of my parents actually. If I tell them to buy online, they'll say, no, I want to feel the fabric, I want to touch it, and then only I'll buy, I want to try it. What we do, we don't have time. We have to manage a job, we have to manage a family, and I think all the married women here will agree to this. So if we need to buy something, we just go online, chalo dekh lete, maybe we'll get something, we buy, we and then we put it on, we try, see the fabric, the quality, we try it on, and if we don't like it, we just put it as return. So that's the benefit of e-commerce actually, and that's the reason traditional retailing is going down. Then retail formats, lots of retail formats. They are store based and non-store based. Store based may ownership, retail, you can just go through on your own. This is very simple actually, and the basic I have already explained it to you. By ownership, there are lots of things. So by ownership, if you see, there are independent store, chain stores. You take these examples of Spencer's and more, D-Marts. All these are chain stores. Or maybe with food, if you see KFC, Maggi, all these things. Convenience stores, which are very specific, and then you have different types of department store, specialty store. You want to buy some baking material, you have to go to specialty store. You want to buy some maybe seafood or all, you have to go to food based supermarket. So all those things are there, which comes into retail strategy mix. Please go through it. I'm not going to explain each and every one of them, and then they have their own advantages and disadvantages. Kindly read this. If there's any doubt, you can always WhatsApp me in the group or even ask me on the mail. And then one of the important parts of this unit is your growth of Indian apparel industry, how it has grown and why it has grown. How to pata chal gaya hai hame, why it has grown. That is one of the major reasons. Increase in disposable income, because we have that kind of income, which maybe our parents used to earn few thousands of rupees, maybe 5,000, 10,000, and we are earning maybe 10,000 or 20,000. So we have that kind of income that we are able to spend it more. Then we have new occasions. I mean, earlier it used to be Holi, Diwali, and I'm sure maybe in South Onam or festivals like that. Now we have Mother's Day, Father's Day. I don't know how many, Valentine's Day. So many festivals are there, and everyone, especially the young generation, they want to buy gifts and so many things for all these new occasions. So that is another reason of all this, retail growth. Basically, growth in the women's segment. Earlier, women used to be, kind of confined to the house. Now now women are outgoing, they are working. So if you are at house, maybe a 10 or 20 pair of saris or clothing would be enough for you, because every time you ask something, where am I going to buy, why should I buy, where will I wear it? But now since we are going out, we are working, we need variety. So that's another big reason. And I think women's clothing is another big reason why the whole export market has developed, because whether we agree or not, women tend to buy more clothing than men. So that is of course one of the reasons. Fashion increasingly a form of self expression. That is something which is very subjective, I would say. Not everyone feels like that or would agree to this, but when we want to express something, I am coming to office, I have a counseling, so I want to dress in a proper, in a certain way, not proper, in a certain way. Now if I have a meeting at with VC or PVC, I would dress in another way. Probably I would prefer to wear the sari. So similarly, if I'm going out for a movie, I would go in maybe in some western wear. So the self expression part actually changes. Now since I'm wearing maybe 4 to 5 different types of clothing, I need variety in that clothing. Maybe 50 years back, my mom, she used to wear only saris or suits, so she didn't need that Western clothing wardrobe. So that is another reason why the whole this thing has increased. Again, I said it's very subjective. Not everyone will agree to this, but I personally feel that is one of the reasons. Increase in urban population, people are moving from rural places to urban. Rise of organized retail, बहुत ज़्यादा, you get lots of retails are there, and then you want to buy sari, you go to Nalli probably. You want to buy Western clothing, you'll go to Zara, H&M probably. You want to buy this, you'll go to that place. So organized retail is another important reason why it is. And then the kind of controversy over branded and non-branded things. I want to buy branded stuff only. Some people don't. They are okay with 100 rupees of street shopping also. So that's another reason. Focus towards online transaction and availability. I am sitting at home. I'm with the use of my phone. Within 5 minutes, I'm ready to buy a sari. For example, the same sari, if I have to buy, I have to go to maybe Connaught Place and go to Nalli and then buy that sari, which will take at least 3 to 4 hours. 5 minutes and 3 to 4 hours. So that's another reason why this thing has increased. Increasing degree of brand consciousness. Of course, people are in Indian customers. Earlier, who knew what is Nike, Adidas? 50 years back, ये सब था भी नहीं शायद, India में at least. Now people are more conscious towards brands. So that's another reason. Changing profile of Indian consumers. Socio-economic factors hai, splurge of middle income group. As I said, the income has increased in various ways. And then there are lots of opportunities and challenges. See, everything is not a piece of cake. We are talking, probably what I'm telling you is the good part of it. I shared one case study about the Bangladesh. That is the negative part of it. So everything has its good and bad, pros and cons. So the same way, opportunities and challenges are there. You can just go through it on your own. And then the second unit of this block is about your e-commerce and apparel industry. Somehow I personally, I really am a big user of e-commerce, online this thing, because it makes my life much easier. But again, there are lots of advantages, disadvantages. What is the concept of e-commerce? E-commerce is basically you just sit at your home and you are able to buy something which is maybe thousands of kilometers away from you. I want to buy a Kanjivaram sari, and probably there might be a site or some handloom store that is available online from Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or anywhere in the south where, or I want to buy a Kasavu sari from Kerala. So I just, with the click of my fingers, within maybe 10 minutes, I'm able to buy it. So that's the concept, that you sit at home at your convenience of work, at your convenience of time, family, everything included, and you are able to buy anything from anywhere in this world basically. So that's the basic concept of your e-commerce. E-commerce matrix hai. One is business, one is consumer. So there are 4 things. This is very easy. I'll just explain it from here and you can just see the flowchart as well. Business to business trade, where business deals with business. That is, industry will deal with industry. So maybe there is a manufacturing unit. There's a manufacturing unit and it's making some product for the some Nike, Adidas, or Ford, or whatever, as example says, and they are giving that product to that brand only. It's not coming to the customer. So that is B2B, business to business. Business to concept, for example, Dell है या Amazon है, मैं Amazon पे जा रही हूँ, मैं Myntra पे जा रही हूँ और मैं shopping कर रही हूँ, and it's coming to me directly. So that's your business to consumer. There is a business, and that business is directly selling it to the consumer. Then under consumer, there are two concepts: consumer to business and consumer to consumer. Consumer to business, for example, it's me, Richa, and I have a boutique. I make maybe I have few tailors, and I'm making some clothing at home, and I want to sell it. So what I will do, I am, as a consumer, I will make my products and give it to the business to make it reach to the consumers. So this is consumer to business. And then consumer to consumer, that is me selling directly my product to something else. So I will put my product online on Amazon or eBay or anywhere, and I'll just sell my product and will go directly to the consumer. So that's a consumer to consumer concept. Okay, you can read this on your own. It's the same thing. Emergence of e-retailing is just a history part. Go through it. Just to let you know, this part is slightly important, maybe for short answers. Do read it properly. The concept, I'm sure you might have understood. Advantages of e-retailing, lots of advantages are there. E-retailing, cheap and most effective way to business expansion, बहुत easy होता है. Much working capital is not required. At the, as I said कि मुझे घर से कुछ बेचना है, तो मुझे एक शॉप का टैक्स देने की जरूरत नहीं है, रेंट देने की जरूरत नहीं है. I don't need to appoint or assign sales girl men for that. So lots of capital is saved actually. This factor is minimum. If I'm doing some business from home, even if that business doesn't work, risk nahi hai zyada, because I might have put maybe 50,000 or 1 lakh only. If you want to put a store in maybe some mall of your city, you need at least maybe 30 to 40 lakhs. So that risk factor is very minimum, considering everything, not only financially, everything, time, all those things. Retailers can easily add the assortment as well as variety to the product mix. Lots of variety can be, mix and match. Data on the internet can also be exploited. Of course, we can use data from the internet. And then there are lots of advantages to the consumers. Go through it, please. Challenges in e-retailing context. Lots of challenges are there. Problems. It's not a cup of cake, as I said, piece of cake. So there are lots of problems that does happen. So if I order maybe a product online and doesn't fit me, I have that thing, अरे अब इसको return डालना है. Even though that is very easy for me, that just with a click and sitting at home, I'll be able to return it. But there are lots of challenges for the consumer and for the business also, not only for us. Then the third unit of this block is introduction to global apparel market. Now, global, what is happening? This is all the descriptive part. Please, आप लोग ये खुद से देखिए, पढ़िए. A few case studies are there considering some brands, and it is not very difficult. You can just go through on your own. Online retailing in India, the reasons why, what are the key drivers, why it has online itna zyada India mein suddenly kyun hai? You see, the online, basically the whole e-commerce that has increased in India has happened in last 1 decade. Before that, it was not there much. I'm sure if you all think, just give it a thought कि मैंने पहला online shopping करना कब शुरू किया था. It won't be beyond maybe 12 or 13 years, not beyond that. So last 1 decade has actually, kind of put a lot of effect in the e-retailing industry, e-commerce industry in India. And the reason for them are, there are lots of better brands available, better deals and discounts. You go and buy maybe a sari from, or maybe any product. Sorry, I'm giving example of saris being a woman probably. Sorry to all the men, but maybe you go and buy a shoe or maybe a shirt, formal shirt, and you go to Raymond's and probably you'll buy the shirt for 2,000 rupees. You buy the same shirt online, you'll get some discount, maybe 10%, 5%, things like that. So there are better deals and discount, better price, of course, category, there are lots of options, and better return policy. As I said, I can just sit at my home and order a product. If it doesn't fit me, I can just return it back sitting at the same place. I don't even have to move out of my home. So again, there are a few case studies here. And then the growth of Indian textiles and apparel and exports. Okay, that's about this. So this is about the third unit of this block. And then the fourth unit and the last, I guess, of this block, the second block, is your concept of FDI. Now, FDI is your foreign direct investment. Okay? What is foreign direct? It is considered one of the most important contributors for the growth of economy of any nation. So basically what happens is ki, as I said, we already talked about globalization. We talked about export market. So, जब भी हम export करते हैं, there has to be an investment involved there. So, we are exporting Assam tea to maybe half of the European countries, or basmati rice, or for that sake, even mangoes also. I mean, you want the best of mangoes from India, you have to buy it from abroad, क्योंकि सारा export हो जाता है. तो आप यूरोप में बैठ के बेस्ट ऑफ मैंगोज खा सकते हो, बट इंडिया में यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू गेट इट बिकॉज वी गेट बेसिकली ऑल द रिजेक्टेड वंस. सो बट when we do this we need that kind of investment from the foreign countries as well. So this process is called foreign direct investment, FDI. This is an important thing. Please, ये FDI का पूरा concept important है. Please read it properly. And as I said earlier also, why so many developed countries are investing in developing countries is because availability of cheap labor, uninterrupted availability of raw material. We have so much of raw material available with us. I mean, you want cotton, India. You want silk, India. You want jute after Bangladesh, India. So every raw material, when it's considered to apparel actually, and even with food also, as I just gave you the example of tea and basmati rice and mangoes and so many other things might be there, I'm unable to recall it right now. So lots of available raw material is there. The thing is that why we are unable to, basically we don't fall under that category, probably we are not managing it properly, we being Indians, I'm saying. So another reason is less production cost compared with developed countries. As I said, chunki cheap labor hai, that is one of the biggest reason. And why there is cheap labor? Because of the population. So everything is kind of interrelated. It's a big circle that goes in and around. So because of that, we have less production cost, and that is why all the developed countries are investing here. And then quick and easy market penetration. I mean, there are lots of different laws that are there, and tax and export laws that are there in European and countries and USA and all those places. But in India, it's very, kind of, you bribe someone, you'll get your work done. So lots of unnecessary things happens here. So that is another thing why easy penetration is there. I need some market to be within India itself, but between maybe interstate, and I want the border to be crossed with my product, and I don't have proper papers. You just bribe the concerned authority, and probably they'll get your work done. So lots of other things are there, very controversial, probably I shouldn't be talking about it. Then FDI, I mean, a driver for growth of Indian economy. It's just the history part of it, and the relation of all those last 7 units that we have already talked about with FDI, how it has improved and growth and everything. Impact of FDI on Indian apparel industry, I've already told you, it's all about the labor and all those things. Now coming to the main part, this is again very important, maybe for short answer. Benefits of FDI. It creates investment opportunities. Of course, India में investment आएगा तो joint ventures होंगे तो economy develop करेगी. Consumers delight. Sitting in India, I'm getting maybe some product which is available in USA. So I want M&M, I am getting it in India. I want a Zara product which is not an Indian, I am getting it in India. Marks and Spencer, any other, you name it, you get it. So all these products. So consumers are happy. So that is another reason why so many people, so many export industries are able to invest in India, is because we want it. If we say today the whole India population, we as Indians, we say we are not going to buy, Adidas and Nike. We will buy only Bata or only Liberty or only what else? What are the Indian brands? Only those brands. So what will happen? Ultimately, in maybe probably in a span of few months or 2 or 3 years, the company has to shut down because there won't be any market. Market क्यों नहीं होगा? Because consumers are not buying it. So, but consumers are happy with all the foreign brands. So that's another reason. Improved supply chain. Of course, there's much better supply chain that compared to the earlier times. Competitive offerings are there. You will get the same product maybe for 100 rupees at one place, maybe for 50 rupees for another place. So that's another thing. Ensures economic growth and prosperity. Of course, economic growth होता है country का, creates employment opportunities. Lots of companies will come in. Lots of employment will be created. Challenges, everything is not good, as I said earlier also. So benefits हैं, तो challenges भी हैं. Increase of organized retailing. So earlier there were local brands जो कि organized retailing में थे, अब बाहर के आ गए हैं, तो competition भी बढ़ रहा है. Fear of losing jobs, as in because when new brands are coming up, first of all, not all the Indian people are employed. Let me tell you that. When there are foreign players involved, people come from foreign. Another thing is that there, see, because we are talking about textile and apparel, let me just remind you of a word called handloom. I'm sure all of you must have heard about it. जो कि वीवर्स बनाते हैं अपने हाथ से लूम पे वीव करके, है ना. तो all those silk sarees or cotton sarees that we actually get in the market, they are either handloom or they are power loom, manufactured on either of these two. So what happens is handloom industry is dying because there are middlemen involved in between. So I will give the product to someone, he will sell it to someone, and that person will sell it to someone. So the profit margin increases. So people are not making that product anymore because they are not earning, and that is why they are losing jobs also. Increased competition for Indian retailers. As I said, कि foreign investment आ रहा है, तो foreign people, foreign brands are coming, and that's how Indian retailers, they are suffering. Adverse effect of rental and rental state. I mean, the kind of rent that a small maybe shop in one of the local markets will pay is very less compared to all those foreign brands that kind of give in big malls. So that's another thing. Threat to cultural heritage. As I just said, one of the examples is your handloom ka. So all these power loom and everything is coming. People are going towards all the Western clothing, and there's no harm in that. Every single one of us wear that. Our kids wear that. No harm, but just an example I'm giving. So we are actually kind of losing that touch to our rich craft and cultural heritage. So that's also one of the threats. And then the current scenario, how FDI has contributed into apparel industry. It's all the same thing, but that there are some facts and figures that you might want to go through. So okay, and okay, advantages. Okay, this is that. And this is your third block. So maybe in tomorrow's session I'll go through the third block. And as of now, if there is any doubt, please do let me know. I have gone a little fast, I do accept it, but it was required, otherwise we wouldn't be able to finish the session. And if you have any doubt, you have noted anything, please do ask. I'm here to answer. I still have some time with me, half an hour in fact. Anyone? Or if you want me to repeat one of the topics, I can do that as well. I have gone faster so that I don't get late, but I think I still have time. So if you need me to, kind of redo one of the topics or anything, please do let me know. Any concept that you haven't understood. Because see, you can, as I said earlier, you can ask your doubts in WhatsApp or mail also, but it's difficult for me to, kind of explain the whole concept when I have to write. So right now we are meeting here. So if you need any clarity, you can ask it right here. The pie chart showing share of men, women, and kids clothing was surprising. Men. Roshni, I completely agree with you because, yeah, this is slightly shocking because I think this sentence I had said earlier also, because women tend to buy more clothing. The reason for that, Roshni, is because, see, it's now, okay? We are talking, I'm saying the present scenario. Right now, I'm working. So, I need that kind of wardrobe, that I have to have a wardrobe for home. I need to have a wardrobe of my saris, my suits, my western, my this, that, 10 types. But you go maybe 10, not 10, maybe 2 decades back, maybe 20 years back. And I'll take example of my mom because I don't know anyone of you in general. So, my mom was a homemaker. She was working. She was a school principal before we were born, me and my siblings. So till then, probably she had that little wardrobe, maybe 10, 15 saris or whatever she used to be. I never asked her. But after she changed into a homemaker, I don't remember her being so considerate about मुझे यहाँ के लिए ये चाहिए, मुझे वहाँ के लिए ये चाहिए. So this has actually happened in last, what to say, hundreds of years. Women have stayed at home and men have worked. So men has a better market. They have more clothing, they have more choice, they have more they used to have more shops. But women coming out of the home has happened only in maybe last 2 or 3 decades, maybe, probably, if I'm not wrong. So this is surprising, considering today's scenario, Roshni. When you see the whole, we are talking about the history of apparel industry. So the history considers maybe 50 to 100 years. So that won't change. Maybe this pie chart, after 10 years, if I revise this course after 5 years or 10 years, and then you see this pie chart, probably it would have changed because the market would have changed by now. And this scenario is for India. Probably if you see the same pie chart for maybe European Union or USA or any other country, foreign country, which is already developed, which was developed 10 years back also, probably this pie chart would be different. So yeah, it is a little surprising, but this is the scenario in India as of now. Anything else, anyone? Any other question, guys? See, this is a very interesting course, okay, program. And I'm not saying this because I am the program coordinator. I have studied this subject, I would say. I did my BSc, MSc, NET, PhD. I have been working since last almost 10 years. And last time when I was talking to Radha ma'am, I told her that I had worked in 2008-9 in Bangalore also. So all the time I have either studied or taught textiles and clothing, and it's a very interesting subject if you really pay interest in this, because it relates to you. It kind of resonates with your daily day-to-day life. एंड एवरीवेयर, कहीं भी मुझे अगर एग्जाम्पल देना है आपको, तो आप अपनी डेली लाइफ से उसे रिलेट कर सकते हो. सो when I used to do face-to-face teaching before I moved to Delhi, this is how I used to give my students the examples relating to day-to-day life, and that is how you connect actually. And when you connect to something, you understand that particular thing in a very better way. So I'm sure you all will understand and like this program, but keeping shut won't help you. 7 यूनिट्स में बिल्कुल डाउट नहीं है आप लोगों को, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है. तो अगर कुछ भी है तो प्लीज डू आस्क, आई एम हियर.
Madam, concluding, madam?
Yeah, we will conclude. I think no one has any doubt, so we
Yes,
can conclude today's session then.
Yes, madam. Tomorrow, same time they'll join. Okay.
Same time, 11 a.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.